Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming in and learning a bit about Buildxact. My name is Dan. I'm on the customer ops team here at Buildxact. So I'm doing face-to-faces with customers, YouTube videos, a whole bunch of random things in front and behind the scenes. I've got Brian here from Precision Homes. So Brian, do you want to tell us like kind of builds you're doing, how long you've been using Buildxact, that kind of stuff? Yeah.
So we specialize in home remodels, bathrooms, kitchens, entire homes. We also do a lot of mechanical contracting, electrical, HVAC, and plumbing. We've been using Buildxact now for a little over a year. And I was using Excel spreadsheets, which was very time consuming before. And now we make everything streamlined to our business. So it's been a good experience thus far.
Awesome. Love it. The goal of this session is I want to take you through how Buildxact tracks costs from a million different places. The main goal is to have you guys leave with an understanding of not only how easy it is, but why it's so important to be on top of this stuff. So without further ado, main things I want to cover, I want to have a look at how does Buildxact track costs, like where is the budget stuff coming from that we're tracking against. I want to have a look at when you are tracking expense, get away from the speaker, when we are tracking expense cost, how are we pulling that data? Like, is it from QuickBooks? Is it from timesheets? A whole bunch of options. We'll have a look at, do you want to create that data yourself in Buildxact, or do you want to import? What's better? We'll talk about timesheeting. Brian's going to interrupt me a whole bunch through this to add his 2 cents, and please do. And then we'll finish up with change orders and invoicing. So to get into that one, you can see that all right. The first thing to explain is when we're cost tracking, where is this stuff coming from? So I think it's good to put in perspective that Buildxact's going to be 3 main parts, as you can see on the left: leads, estimates, and jobs. And as you move through them, the data comes from one piece into the next. So we're looking at the budgeting screen of one of my projects, or will be in a second. And as I'm going through, this is the original budget cost that we're then comparing against as the job runs. So if we flip forward to just over here, this is the screen here where I'm going to be doing most of the talking, most of the explaining. What we're trying to do here is show you how you're tracking for different budget items. Now back to this one. This is all the different places Buildxact can pull data from. So we're going to go through these one by one. I should absolutely ask questions. There'll be questions at the end, but if you want to sing out, that's totally fine. So different places we can pull data from. This one up the top is the screen we were just looking at. And we can create our own orders. The word order in this context is probably misleading because it's talking about purchase orders and work orders, but you don't have to actually send them. You don't have to actually order from anyone if you don't need to. For us, in this example, we're going to look mainly at tracking costs. Big shout out to the QuickBooks sync. We can pull data in from QuickBooks. We can send data to QuickBooks. And also we have our own timesheet app. And this is probably a good time to shout out the onboarding team, because as we are getting people up to speed, a whole bunch of the consult work is just working out what fits best. All right, so let's get back into it. I'm going to have a look next at the different order types. So you can see at the top, I've got purchase order and work order. Purchase order, think of it as anything that is outside of your business. So we're talking like subcontractor costs, we're talking supplies, etc. Versus work orders, which is what we're going to touch on when we get into timesheets with Brian. That's much more about the costs inside your business. And the big difference here is, as far as our accounting syncs are going, we're sending the external costs into QuickBooks, but we're not sending the work orders. So let's have a look at actually creating one. I'm going to do this down here. I'm going to do, let's just say dumpster. You can see it as you select things, whether it be one thing, 20 things, makes no difference. We're able to go and order this. And I'm going to put this in. Don't worry about my spelling. I'm very at peace with the fact I can't spell. As we do this, we'll put in what it is. Where is it coming from? So I'm going to go that one. And like I said, if you want to send a physical purchase order, absolutely we can do it. That'd be fantastic if you're wanting to, let's say you've got a rep at each of your suppliers and you want to send that off. We can absolutely do it. For the sake of example, I'm focusing much more on the purchase order that we then send to QuickBooks, or the receipt, you can think of it as. As far as what we're physically sending, QuickBooks, think of this as the whole QuickBooks screen, because QuickBooks wants to know things like, what's the reference number? When did the expense happen? Because obviously QuickBooks wants to work out payment dates. We're also going to do the cost calculation, send that through to QuickBooks. And when I mark it as received, that then makes it eligible to sync. Like we batch sync stuff, and when it's marked as that, it's ready to go. Definite bonus point here. I'm a pretty unorganized person. I have paperwork all over the place. Having the documents down the bottom is pretty cool for me. Just being able to store stuff, have it accessible, and I guess more than anything, just kind of in order. Now, we'll move on to the next part, which is the work orders. And this is where we will start with you, Brian. So with the work orders, we can pull that in from our Buildxact timesheets. So I'm going to go down. We will have a look under here. So I'll quickly explain this, and then Brian can explain how specifically he's using it. But what we're looking at is Buildxact has a phone app, and as the guys are on site, they're logging their time against different projects. It feeds back to us to then assign it to the right project, to the right category, and any notes the guys make, which I might have some down here, like if this guy's made a note that Hale's doing the shower in the bathroom one, this all comes back and we assign it to the right project. So do you want to give us a quick summary, I suppose, how the timesheets are working out for you? Are you using them for yourself or for your guys, etc.? And anything else you want to add, for sure?
Yeah, so the timesheets is a very good feature to where anytime you have an employee at a job, they have a app called Onsite, and they can go in there and they start and clock in. There's no physical time cards anymore. They say, hey, I got here at 7, I took a break and I left at 5. And they can apply that to whatever job they were working on during that day. So here we have luxury bathroom model at whatever job, but they can select what job they were at, what time, what day. And at the end of the week, you can also use that for payroll tracking, that's how I use it. If you pay somebody, hey, this is what it is. It was 42 hours this week on this job. And then you can apply that to that job for cost tracking as well as, hey, this was an employee expense. You can see it live. It's all your pay rates are completely editable. You can make them whatever you want, whatever the amount is per hour, weekday, different rates for weekends, overtime. So it integrates also with QuickBooks. All that tracking is very, very intuitive and very easy to do. And I think that's it. That's the way I use it. I'm sure you can keep track of many other subcontractors. I use it for my own employees, but I think it's a great feature to have.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Interesting point on you're saying that's how you use it. I think that's Buildxact in a nutshell. We've tried to make it as flexible as possible so that it's not like a one size fits all. You come on, we consult, we work out what fits. Some features you'll use all the time. Some people use everything. Some people use just a handful of things. It's totally custom to what you want to do.
I would think real quickly.
Yeah, man.
Initially, we just had guys writing down their hours on pieces of paper or cardboard or a box. Well, what happens to that box? It's missing. It's in somebody's truck. It's on the floor. Well, I don't know how many hours you worked. It's not my responsibility at the end of the day to tell you, was it 39 hours or 42 hours? So it's alleviated a lot of confusions into how many hours did you really work? And I would use it time and time again now because it alleviates a lot of frustrations and miscommunications for sure.
Awesome, man. One thing I was just going to touch on as well is when we are assigning it, naturally you're going to assign it to a project, a category. You can match it to an exact line item that was in your budget if that suits. And when the guys are doing this on site, they see these same categories, same items. So if you were to do a timesheet for yourself, you're naturally going to know where to put it and you can fill it out. If it's just a battle to get you guys to do timesheets at all, then at a minimum, they can just put in what job they worked on and you do the rest. So flexibility again, depending on how you run your business and what that looks like. Back into the job section. So into here, I just want to make a quick note that while we've talked about the Buildxact timesheets, we do have other timesheet partners. We work with Deputy, for example, which is an external product. We integrate with them. I also want to make a note that people will ease into the product. It's not as though you're going to bite the whole thing off in day one. So to that point, you can absolutely add your own work orders, and we have plenty of businesses that will go off paper timesheets to begin with. That gets bulk ends at the end of the week, etc. So grow into it. We will have people who start with just estimating, and 3 years later we talk to them again and they add some more functions. So we definitely try and grow with you. Now, the final one, while I'm on this particular screen, and then we'll get into things like change orders, all of the income generating things, so actually invoices. Naturally, you want to make some money. If we have a look at a Home Depot item here, if you hang around for another half hour, I'm actually going to talk about this one in more detail, but just so that you know, you can buy direct from Home Depot through us. So anything that was budgeted for as a Home Depot item, or that you later changed to an item from them, buy direct from your Pro Extra account. And I guess that's trying to just remove the steps. Like if you make a call and someone misses the item number, or they make a mess up, and we're trying to make that seamless so that you're in control of sending it straight across to your accounts. Right on. Now, what have I missed? One thing I did miss, which was kind of silly. Let's go back into here. In the exact same way that we can import timesheets, we can import bills from QuickBooks. Now, again, this is something that the onboarding teams kind of work out what's best for you. We'll have some guys that put their purchase orders into Buildxact and sync that into QuickBooks. Meanwhile, we have others that do this, and they have it connected to their QuickBooks for the sake of pulling those expenses back. It's very much personal preference. For businesses that have a really established QuickBooks account, or have an accountant that's doing a lot of this stuff for them, importing from QuickBooks is awesome. It just means someone else can fill it in. You just tell us where the cost goes, and that's it. Versus if people are specifically wanting to send a lot of purchase orders, or they're wanting to more enter the expenses themselves, we do it that way and then push into QuickBooks. Now, let's get back into another part that, Brian, I know you use. Let's go back into here. Jobs. Awesome. So the next piece to touch on is change orders. Question, please. Yeah, that's a great question. So the question for those that maybe didn't hear is, when you are bringing stuff into QuickBooks, is it like manual? Do you export it, load it? The answer is no. So through our integrations, you're basically setting up whether we should pull data in, whether we should push it across. So in the case of importing, what we do is we look at all the bills and expenses in your QuickBooks for the last 30 days, and then you either ignore it or you apply it to somewhere, because naturally there's going to be things like you're hungry on the way home, you buy a pizza. It's not job billable. Well, it could be, who knows? But you can choose which stuff gets assigned from. It is billable. Thanks for clarifying. Lovely. Well, let's get back into change orders, and a reminder, if there's any other questions, please shout out. So do you want to give an intro, maybe first up, on how you use change orders, and then I'll go into some more depth on how that works?
Yeah, sure. So we use change orders really for very accurate cost tracking. It really helps communication with the clients. It's very clear, concise, and we really like they have digital signatures. So you send it to the client via email or their client portal. They can see it. They can read exactly line by line what you do, what you're going to do, what they're signing off on. And you'll get a digital signature whenever they sign it. And it comes on your screen. There's no confusion. Did they sign it or not? There's your digital, breadcrumb trail. And for cost tracking, anytime you do a change order and it's accepted, it goes right into your actual costing screen. So you can see exactly how much that job is going to cost you now, how much it was going to cost you before. And they also look very, very streamlined. So there's, you can get them signed if you like that as well. Name, date, item descriptions, units, anything you would like to put in there. It's fully editable. The whole thing is customizable. So if you don't like something, you want to put your logos on there, your email addresses, everything. It's very good that way. And also gives great updates here of what your original contract totals were. and what your updated contract total is. So not only you know, but also your client knows right here. Anytime you generate a change order, there's nothing that's going to be miscommunicated. It's right there in front of them. So there's no more papers, no more dropping things in the trash and forgetting about it. It's all here, tracked digitally, and that's how we use it pretty much every day.
Please. What was that?
Sorry, question? No? Okay. Yeah, go for it, man.
Payment through the system.
We do not collect payment through the system. That's why we hook in with QuickBooks. So QuickBooks, let's say someone gives you a check, you deposit in your bank. QuickBooks will pull that cost from your bank feed, and that's how you know it's in there. And then we pull it back from QuickBooks. So not really. We actually use QuickBooks more as the transaction gateway in many ways. Also, great explanation. I think we've got some openings if you want to work at Buildxact, because that was pretty solid. I like that. Just to add a little bit on there, Brian covered the digital signatures, which is fantastic. We've had plenty of client stories of, hey, they accepted verbally that they're going to do something or that they want to move forward, and then 3 months later oh no, I never said that. So getting it signed, getting it recorded, obviously essential. Cover yourself. The other point I wanted to make is back in this screen, really just to say, there's going to be several types of change orders, right? There's going to be ones where the client wants to substitute or change stuff. So I won't put this whole thing through, but let's just say the tiling, we budgeted this particular tile and you want to substitute it, or the client does, more of the point, generally the last second, which is fun. You can grab this straight out of your budget. You'll see it's got a negative by default because it's expecting you to add a positive to kind of counteract that. Although sometimes the client buys their own stuff and you owe them cash back. But what it's wanting to do is change the actual cost track, change the contract, reflect on the invoicing. Everything's seamlessly connected from this change order. It actually impacts a lot of different areas of the software. Any further questions on that from anyone? No? So far, so good? Lovely. Let's keep moving. So lucky last, this is just focusing on what we call outgoing invoices, just to avoid confusion between supplier invoices, contractor invoices. And this is talking about bills to the actual client. We do several types of jobs. So what I'm meaning here is this would represent, say, a fixed price contract. An agreed value, you're splitting it up into percents, in this case 50-50. We do time and materials cost plus billing, if that's what you're into. And that works slightly different, where all the expenses then accumulate towards the client's invoice. We also do what's called completion percent, which is a type of fixed price, but it's much more based on drawing down on each cost category and saying, hey, look, I did half your drywall, half the floors down, and you can draw down on that if that's better for you. As I'm going through this, one thing I want to point out, mainly because I think it's great, is when you send an invoice, not only can we send the invoice, which would naturally contain, to your question before about payment, the invoice will naturally contain checks payable to this company, or we do Venmo, we do whatever you want. You can have payment details on that. But the other thing I want to show you, and I'll make this hopefully big enough that everyone can see, is what we call the invoice statement. So it'll look different for different types of jobs, but what it's really good for is if you're issuing an invoice and the client goes, hey, great, I just paid, what's the next one? We're showing all the different invoice stages. We're also listing out change orders. So it acts as almost a pseudo receipt if the client says, yep, received, paid. But I like this just from the point of client communication and I guess minimizing potential questions before they come up. Now that is, unless Brian, you want to add anything else? That's pretty much all.
No, I think that was it. I think we use change orders a lot for allowances. So you have a $500 toilet allowance. They got one that's $799. You can put it in there. It generates automatically how much the difference is. It updates the contract total, so they also know how much they're spending at that moment in time. So what I found out is if a lot of people are on the same page all the time, anytime you present an option to a client, they're just going to gain more and more trust in you as you're doing this project because you're not hiding the numbers. The numbers are here. Everyone can see them. So change orders and allowances we use all the time. We might use a base insulation product, but then they might change their mind. It might be a different type of setup where you want to use a different brand. So you can put all that information in there right there, generate it in an email, a PDF, or an Excel file. Any of that is extremely beneficial, no matter what kind of software they're using. If they're technologically adapt as well, some people still like paper, so you can print it out. You can also keep track of this in manual files. If you're still like paper, put paper in the files in the file register and what have you. So, yeah, I mean, that was it.
Yeah, awesome. I will take one point just for what Brian said on the allowances. They hadn't originally put this in the list of things to talk about, but I think it's worth a quick cover. The allowances come from the original budget. So in the case that you have given a quote to someone, you can signal something as an allowance, which does two things. It not only shows it in the proposal as, hey, this is an allowance ballpark figure, but it also then pushes it through into the job section where you can then settle those allowances as they come through. We have a selections part as well. So if you put allowances through, you have the option to then push those the different options that the client might want to go with for tiles. We can sync that to the client's portal. Everything connects to everything is probably the short summary here. But that's pretty much all we've got. So thank you so much for coming out. If there are questions, sing out. Otherwise, you can come grab us later and we'll go through them then. So thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.